What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a wonderful episode here of the Sports Outlet Show. We are doing college football here for the next 11 weeks. I, myself, am Joe Wagner. Here alongside me over to my, well, I guess if I'm pointing this way, it's my left on the screen. But to my right, what you guys are seeing is Braden Wilkins. And right underneath me is Brent, the father of sexy today is what he's repping today. Give me some kind of background on what's going on here, Brent. What's with the little bubble down there?
All right. So to be honest with you, I was logging into the StreamYard, saw a little box there where you could put a title under your name, and I just thought "Father of Sexy" fit the bill. I mean, that's me. People have called me that my whole life, so I just wanted to put it out there for everybody.
Can we get maybe like 2 actual alibis of who have called you Father of Sexy your entire life? Okay, we got one.
Right in.
My mom. I asked the question. Oh my goodness. Well, at least this part's interesting because the conference we're talking about today, it might be a little underrated here. We're talking about the CUSA guys, but first of all, I'm just hyped and honored to introduce year 2 here of 2023 College Summer Series, the sequel, guys. We're back here in 2023. This time I'm in Norman, Oklahoma. Last time I was in Atlanta, Georgia. You guys are still in the same place. What are we doing?
Just stop.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Hey, I'm gonna come work for the Shenandoah Hornets one day here soon, guys. Don't worry. We'll bring a natty there. We'll bring a natty back there. Anyways, guys, when I think about the sequel here for the 2023 College Summer Super Series, I was like typing it out, and every single part of me wanted to type that Alvin and the Chipmunks movie title of The Squeakquel. Like every single part of my body wanted that so bad.
Phenomenal movie.
It is a movie. It's a phenomenal franchise. Let's just throw that out there. Mm-hmm. Anyways, we'll go ahead and jump in here, guys. I know a lot of our podcasts in the past hitting almost those 2-hour marks sometimes. We're just here ready to roll, get you going on your Friday night before you're going out, especially here in Central Time. I know it's a little late for the East folks, but you Pacific people, feel free, crack open a beer, enjoy this one. We'll hit you home real quick, and let's get ready to rock and roll, guys. We're talking CUSA here. There's been a lot of mix-up here, guys, in the CUSA. A lot of additions, a lot of subtractions. No multiplication, no division. None of those Big Four properties, just the first 2. What we learned in 3rd grade back there. Yeah, definitely not first, 3rd grade, guys. That's Virginia education. But anyways, jumping in here for the CUSA. First of all, I had to go with one of my favorite TV shows that launched season 4 or season 4 this year with the Hello You of the teams that are joining. Braden, who's joining us here in the conference?
We got Jacksonville State, Liberty, New Mexico State, and Sam Houston are joining the conference.
And 2 of those teams, if I'm not incorrect, are joining the FBS for the first time ever this year in Jacksonville State and Sam Houston. Really excited to see what's going on. 2, honestly, you got the powerhouse of Sam Houston there that's been dominating the FCS for quite a while. And then Jacksonville State's coming off a great year as well. We'll get back into that. But when you add things, you have to subtract on the other side to make things even, guys. I know we brought in 4 teams here to the CUSA. We actually lost 6 teams that all went to the same conference in a major shift here. Another one of my favorite shows that just dropped season 5, Brent, they're feeling American. Who are these teams?
We got Charlotte, FAU, North Texas, Rice, UAB, UTSA.
Not again.
AAC.
That is correct. We do have Charlotte, FAU, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UTSA. Got to show a little respect there for one of the best in the business in the CUSA.
I've always called it UTSA. That's what I'm going with.
I can't blame you, but no better way to kick this off right here than with one of the greatest historical states of the 2022 season, 23 season in Florida, with 2 great teams in the NBA finals and the NHL finals, both lost. But other than that, they're playing well other than this team. In 2022, we're kicking this off, guys, with the FIU Panthers, who went 4-8 last season, 2-6 here in the CUSA Conference. They play out of Ricardo Silva Stadium. That's home to about 20,000 fans there in Winchester, Florida. The last time they won any sort of anything was 2010 there in the Sun Belt. And they actually won that game over Arkansas State, a team still in the Sun Belt currently to this day. And a actual wide receiver popped off that you guys might know the name of in that 2010 game. His name is a former Colt. His name played for the Cowboys a little bit this year. It's T.Y. Hilton. He had 11 receptions, 140 yards, and a tutty there in that 2010 game there for FIU. Thought that was pretty cool to share with you guys real quick. FIU kind of struggled here down the stretch, guys. Going into it real quick, Mike McIntyre, is going into his second season. Obviously, that 4-8 record, not exactly what you want, but year two is really where a team, head coach is taking the realm. He's taken over the reins. He's ready to go. Year two is a test year for a lot of head coaches here in the NCAA. We're going to see that in a lot of conferences, a lot in this conference as well here for year two. Also going into year three here, actually, but year two as a starter is going to be FIU quarterback Grayson James. He's a junior. He's a dual threat, actually. He's got a lot of speed out of the pocket. He loves to hit the A and B gaps when he's scrambling in pressure. He had 1962 yards last year. He had that 1-to-1 ratio on tutties and INTs there at 11-11. Definitely something that can be improved on here for the FIU Panthers. My player to watch, guys, other than that, is on that offensive side is that redshirt junior wide receiver goes by the name of Chris Mitchell. 23 receptions last year. He had over 348 yards, just narrowing down on that 350. Had 4 TDs and averaged almost a little above 15 yards per catch. That's something we see a lot of in the NCAA, and I think a couple in these notes you guys have going here too. For FIU, they also are returning that senior linebacker, Donovan Manuel. He had 97 tackles, led the team at 8.5 tackles for loss, as well as a sack and a fumble recovery. Now, my favorite part about this, guys, is when we're doing this, is that most important game. Like, what's going to get this team ramped up? What's that? You go into the locker room every single day, and obviously your team opponent's up there for that week, but you have this one circled in every calendar on the books. For this one, it's September 23rd here for the FIU Panthers versus the Liberty Flames. Liberty is one of the toughest competitors here in the CUSA. If FIU is ready to get on a good stretch here, especially I believe that's their first conference game they're going into 2023, they have a chance to welcome them to the CUSA. They have a chance to beat Liberty at their home stadium there in Ricardo Silva and just show some potential, show some life here in year two of Mike McIntyre. Although it's been a lot of Panther success around the horn here in sports, talking about Florida and Panthers. Although my final prediction here for the Panthers is 4-8, a lot less Panther success in Florida. I believe Mike McIntyre is going to get a third season after this, but FIU just doesn't look ready to roll in a CUSA division that lost a lot of talent, but also brought in some really major competitors. So that's kind of my spiel.
That Stanley Cup loss is going to carry over some bad mojo for the Panthers of Florida.
Indeed.
As long as it's of Florida and not the other one.
Yeah.
That's fine. Anyways, we're going to kick it over to one of those brand new teams here over with Brent. Brent, tell me about the South Carolina Gamecocks.
That's what I was going to say. You stole my thunder. I'm going to be introducing the Gamecocks, not the South Carolina Gamecocks, the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. You see it on your screen there. They went 9-2 last year, 5-0, first in the Atlantic Sun. Obviously, FCS. They're going to be joining the FBS this year, as Joe mentioned. Their last and only bowl game was the 1977 Grantland Rice Bowl. Do you guys know who they were playing in that bowl?
Rice.
North Dakota State. State. So that was their last bowl appearance. They're rocking with second-year head coach Rich Rodriguez. I did not get his record. I actually forgot to put that in my notes. But the quarterback controversy is a little up in the air right now. It was going to be Zion Webb, but it's starting to look like the NCAA will not grant him a 7th season of eligibility. He's going on I think this would be like his 5th year as a starter with the team. So he's been playing for quite a while, but he had a redshirt year. He had the COVID year. He was trying to get another year. I don't think they're going to grant it. He practiced with the team all spring, looked all over the internet, but still haven't been able to get an official word on this. But second off the field during their spring game was Tayshawn Smoot, who was redshirted last year. He's a 3-star quarterback who comes out of Ohio. The job is still wide open, though, and there are currently 5 other quarterbacks on the roster. Player to watch on offense, we got Sean Brown. He's the most electric receiving option on the Gamecocks, due simply because of his size and speed. He measures in at 6'5", 245 pounds, and his lone touchdown last year came on a 76-yard bomb. So he's definitely got that game-breaking speed. He's got the size. So hopefully he can build on that from last year. The player to watch on defense, Chris Hardy. He's the best player on JSU by far. He's a defensive end. He's only a sophomore, but like I said, already far and away the best player on the team. He racked up 5.5 sacks, 36 tackles, and a forced fumble in his first season. And then the most important game, I got to give some week 0 love here. Week 0 love. It's August 26th versus UTEP. This is JSU's chance to shine against a veteran CUSA opponent, and time to see if their FCS success translates to the FBS. My record prediction, though, 4-8. I will say, though, it is possible they could have a JMU-like start to the season. Their first 4 or 5 games are pretty easy outside of Coastal Carolina. So I could see them getting a good start to the year, but ultimately finishing with a 4-8 record. And then before we move on, I wanted to ask you guys a trivia question about JSU. The starting quarterback for Jacksonville State from 2007 to 2009 actually went on to become famous in an area outside of football. Do you all know who that was?
Can we get a category?
Yeah,
on
can we get
area?
like an occupation or
Musician?
Musician. Ooh, interesting.
What type of music?
Country.
Huh.
Couldn't
tell you.
Is he popular still?
Yes, very popular.
I'm gonna go with Chris Stapleton.
No. Wait, 2007? No. Brandon, you have a guess?
Is it Wallen?
No.
In 2000,
Riley Green. Green.
Okay, that makes sense.
Jacksonville State.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Why was he actually in the top of my head?
I couldn't pull up any stats on it though. I tried to look up his quarterback stats. I could not find it anywhere. But it is confirmed that he was the starting quarterback from 2007 to 2009.
That's awesome.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, this team is not to be confused with Jackson State of Deion Sanders.
Yeah, right.
Just a heads up.
Yes.
I know that's definitely confusing to a lot of people.
And I'm pretty sure this is Jacksonville, Tennessee, Jacksonville, Alabama. Or is this in Florida? I don't think it's in.
I think they're in Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would make sense why Riley Green was on the team because he is from Alabama.
That would make sense.
So,
all right, let's go all the way from Florida to Alabama, a little bit closer to home in Lynchburg, Virginia. Braden, what do we got?
We got the Liberty Flames here. Another one of those new guys. Last year they went 8-5. They obviously weren't in the conference yet, so they don't have a conference record, but they did play one of the guys that are leaving UAB. They beat them in week 2. So it's sort of a little handing off of the torch there as Liberty's able to best one of the people that are leaving. Last year, they did make a bowl game in which they lost 19-21 against Toledo in the Boca Raton Bowl. They joined the FBS as an independent program back in 2018. They won the Big South Conference in the FCS 8 times from 2007 to 2016 before their transition to the FBS. So they saw a lot of success at the FCS level. And now that they're in the FBS, they're looking to make some waves. Their coach is Jamie Chadwell. It's his first year at Liberty. He's coming from Coastal Carolina. So Coastal Carolina's had a bit of a modicum of success lately in college football. So that's a great hire from them. He is 99-57 overall as a head coach. Their quarterback, they have a bit of a 3-way battle. Jonathan Bennett was the guy who got the majority of the time last year. He's a senior. He threw for 1,534 yards, 12 touchdowns to 9 picks. And then I got a sophomore, Caden Salter, who last year threw for 1,088 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 5 picks. And they also brought in Trey Lowe. He's a senior from Southern Mississippi. He didn't get a ton of usage there. He only threw 8 touchdowns and 7 interceptions on his career. They haven't named the starting quarterback, but Jonathan Bennett saw the most time last year, and he's a senior. So the odds are good for him to be the starter. My player to watch on the offense is Cedro Lewis. He's a senior running back, slide receiver hybrid. He's 5'7", so he's a bit of a smaller guy. He's shifty. Last year, he had 529 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, and 81 receiving yards. Last year's leading rusher, Day Hunter, entered the transfer portal this April. So that's another guy he won't have to worry about taking touches from him. So I'm expecting him to have a bit more of an impact. My player to watch on the defense is Kenny Charles. He's a junior defensive tackle. He's looking to become the face of this offense after a couple guys have left. Last year, he had 59 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, and 1 forced fumble. My most important game for Liberty is Week 8 versus Middle Tennessee. Last year, Liberty was 8-1 before going on a skid down the stretch, losing to UConn, Virginia Tech, New Mexico State, and then that bowl game versus Toledo to end the season. At one point before they started that skid, they were actually ranked in the AP poll. They were up to 19, and then they just went on that huge skid. Very disappointing for them. So they need to take care of business in this Week 8 game before they play Western Kentucky away. So if they can prevent the skid starting again this year, I think this team's going to be very good. One of the better teams in this conference. I have them going 9-3.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I visited Liberty for the first time this year. It's a big school. It's a really big school. And campus.
It's a really, really pretty campus. I went there for the first time in October. It was really nice.
I think they might have like the largest enrollment in the US, but most of it's online. They have a huge online program. So
that I didn't know. The things you didn't know.
Yeah, the things you didn't know.
Well, how about I tell you guys a couple things you definitely don't know about the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. In 2022, LA Tech Bulldogs went 3-9, 2-6 here in the conference. Have they won the conference? No, never. But they have been runners up in the CUSA in 2014 and 2016. Now the Bulldogs play out of Joe Ellet Stadium. That's home to 23,000 fans there in Ruston, Louisiana. As I said before, they were runner-up in 2014 and 2016. And before I jump in, it's like Brent read my notes, although it actually isn't even on here for this one. I also have a trivia question. Brent might know this one, so I'll try and not give too many hints. The Louisiana Tech Bulldogs have had one player drafted number 1 overall. It was in 1970. I'll give more hints if we need it. Who was that player?
I'm guessing he played for the Giants, since you said I might know.
Second hint is he is a quarterback. Third hint is he was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Is it Terry Bradshaw?
It's Terry Bradshaw.
Okay.
The Grand Marshal of Apple Blossom, baby.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I knew he was drafted in 1970. I didn't put that together until you said the Steelers.
But Terry Bradshaw was drafted number one. So I thought that was pretty cool for Louisiana Tech. That's why you'll see it on the college football post of every team that's had a first round number one overall pick. That's why Louisiana Tech's on there. They lost their final 3 games in 2022. They lost to UTSA, Charlotte, and UAB. They're coming in with head coach Sonny Cumbie. He's 3-9 going into his second season. Looking at quarterback here, the junior transfer, Jack Turner. He actually played with Louisiana Tech last year. He transferred in after his freshman year. He went 16 for 29, 176 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks after playing only 3 games last season, in which there was an absolute slew of quarterbacks that Louisiana Tech went through. You know where they did not have a problem last year, Brent? It was that wide receiver, Smoke Harris, the redshirt senior who Brent hyped up all last year. He had Louisiana Tech last year. He said, I need you to think of a more terrifying name than going up against Smoke Harris.
He smoked the defenders.
This dude is fast, agile, incredible, an incredible football player, even a better person. 65 receptions, 635 yards, and 6 touchdowns from Smoke Harris. Now going on the opposite of the defense, they have Hugh Davis coming back as that middle linebacker as a redshirt senior. He led the team in 76 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, a sack and a half, and also a fumble recovery. My game for them to watch is going to be week 11, so right before their last game of the season in week 12, versus Sam Houston. This is a chance here for Louisiana Tech to show that they are still a competitor in this division, in this conference, and to show that, Sam Houston, you're not coming into our division and beating us. Because if they do, that's a problem. We'll get back to that later. Anyways, Louisiana Tech went 3-9 last season. They brought in top recruit Delvin Whitaker. He's a 6'2", 240-pound freshman from St. Francisville, Louisiana. He's an edge rusher, and he is a 3-star with a .867 rating. So not quite at that 4-star rating yet. They didn't get anybody above 3 stars, but he's expected to give immediate release there on the edge pressure for a team that is lacking a lot of positions on defense. If you go onto and look up Louisiana Tech Bulldogs roster depth chart currently, they are missing a left defensive tackle, a will linebacker, a Sam linebacker, a strong safety, a right corner, as well as backups for defensive end, middle linebacker, corner, safety, free safety, and corner. They also do not have a long snapper. So, hey, I believe in bringing in the new recruits. All right, I believe in Sonny Cumbie, and I think that 4 wins is better than 3.
Long snapper is the most important position too, outside of holder.
It's true.
I don't think they have a holder either.
Jeez, they're in real trouble.
Brent, you need to check the comments before you're in trouble.
I wanted to address the comments. So what's going on in the chat, guys? Father is sexy here. Father is sexy.
Here, we'll put it up so they can see the name real quick.
I'm just trying to enjoy my podcast, trying to get through these teams.
All right. While we keep rolling, Brent, why don't you tell me about Middle Tennessee State?
Middle Tennessee State. You might look at the name and say, hey, they beat Miami last year. Because they did. They beat Miami last year. It was a great game. They smoked them. But anyway, the Middle Tennessee State, the Blue Raiders, they went 8-5. Pretty impressive year. In the conference, 4-4, not as good. But they did win their bowl game, 25-23 versus San Diego State in the Hawaii Bowl. The last time they won the division was 2018. They won the CUSA East, but they lost in the championship versus UAB. Their head coach, Rick Stockstill. It's his 18th season, and he's the 4th longest tenured coach in the country. So that's pretty impressive for.
Did you say fourth?
Yeah, fourth longest tenured.
Jeez, who were the? Okay,
So
now
I'm
I'm
thinking
interested, but keep going.
I know Saban's one of them. I don't know the others. Actually, it might not be Saban because he went to the NFL for a bit.
I feel like Army or Air Force had one of them that we were talking about last year. Anyways, keep going.
Their quarterback, Chase Cunningham, the star quarterback for the Blue Raiders last year, he walked away. So the same backup that filled in for him in 2021 when he went down with injury is expected to get the starting stint once again. That is Nicholas Vadiato. In 6 games in 2021, he recorded just over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. So not bad for coming in as a backup.
He started against Virginia Tech in 2021 when they 2022 when they played us. Excuse me.
How'd that game go?
We dogged them, believe it or not.
Okay.
And by dogged them, I think we won by 20.
Good. Okay. All right. So my player to watch on offense, Frank Peasant. He's a running back. He's a sophomore. Last year, Peasant went for 1,060 all-purpose yards and 11 touchdowns. And the player to watch on defense is Teldrick Ross. He's a senior cornerback. Excuse me. He's the best player on Middle Tennessee. His 20 pass breakups last year set a new school record, and he had an absolutely monster bowl game where he enjoyed a tackle for loss, 2 pass breakups, a fumble recovery, and an interception. All of this was in the same game. It was phenomenal. Great performance from him. Again, beating San Diego State, as I mentioned earlier. But their most important game, week 1 at Western Kentucky. As we get into this, you'll kind of see Western Kentucky is the powerhouse of this conference. So that first CUSA game will set the tone for the rest of the way. Pull it out, and the expectations crank up. They do play Alabama, though, this season as well. So that could also be
upset alert.
That also could be their most important game, Alabama. I mean, they might have a shot.
They beat Miami last year.
Yeah, I expect it. Their record prediction 8-4. Remember, one of those wins against Alabama, 8-4.
Okay, so a loss against Western Kentucky, but a dub against Alabama is what we're predicting. Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna write it down right here. Okay. All right. Cool. Speaking of new teams coming in to the CUSA, Braden, it looks like you got one. Who are we talking about?
Yeah, New Mexico State, and they're the Aggies. When you think of Aggies in college football, you're not typically thinking about New Mexico State. But you know what? They had a better record than the other famous Aggies last year. So
Utah State?
Yeah. They might have. I don't know about Utah State. I was talking about A&M, of course. Last year they went 7-6. They played 2 conference games. They weren't in the conference yet, but they played 2 games against people in the conference. They played UTOP and FIU. They lost to both of them. And actually, I'm mistaken here. They did play Liberty as well, and they beat Liberty. I didn't think about them coming into it. They played in a bowl game. They won over Bowling Green in the Quick Lane Bowl, 24-19. Much like the Liberty, they joined the FBS as an independent program in 2018. They left the Sun Belt for the second time this century to go independent. Lack of success in the Sun Belt from 2014 to 2017 might have played a part in that. They haven't been very successful overall. But that bowl win last year was pretty sweet. Their head coach is Jerry Kill. He's 7-6 as a coach of the Aggies. It's his second season, but his overall head coaching record is 165-110. So he's got a lot of experience. He's head coach for various colleges from 1994 to 2015 before taking a few assistant jobs. He was most notable as a head coach with Minnesota at the start of the 2010s. Their quarterback is Diego Pavia. He's a senior. Last year, he threw for 1,450 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. And he also ran for 508 yards and 6 touchdowns. And those 508 rushing yards were second leading rusher on the team, behind only my offensive player to watch, Star Thomas. He's a junior running back. Last year, he topped Pavia by just 10 rushing yards with 518 and 5 touchdowns. He also had 12 receiving yards, or 12 receptions for 151 yards and 3 touchdowns. And he led the team in all-purpose yards and scrimmage touchdowns. Most of his production came in a game against Hawaii, which he popped off. So I'm hoping he can do a little bit more and continue to be that guy leading the team and everything. My player to watch on defense is a little bit interesting. So last year, New Mexico State had a pretty decent defense. They had a lot of guys with a lot of sacks. This year, not so much. New Mexico State has lost 5 of the top 6 tacklers from 2022. These 5 guys accounted for 332 tackles, 33 TFLs, 13.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 5 interceptions. That's as many sacks and more interceptions as the rest of the team combined, and they're all gone. Somebody has to step up and fill in those shoes. Yeah, somebody has to step up and take some of those tackles and sacks and every other defensive stat you can think of. Andre Selden, he was their 5th leading tackler with 44. He also had 1 pick and 4 passes deflected. He is a DB. Their most important game is Week 4 against New Mexico. The Aggies dominated this rivalry last year. This is the game for both teams, as I expect them both to have pretty disappointing seasons. Yeah, I'm taking a huge step back here for New Mexico State, and they're going to go 4-9 this year.
4-9?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
There are a lot of 4-win teams here in the CUSA, guys.
Yeah, come on, Braden. That's a horror.
I'm sorry.
Jeez,
They might still be the better Aggies. We'll see.
It's like the 6-6 Syracuse all over again.
Hey now.
Oh,
They finished very similar to that. I just had them starting 0-5.
Jeez, Rick.
New Mexico State winning that natty.
Oh my!
Could you imagine? Could you just imagine that?
I'd have to
would
just stop sports altogether. Just not watch ever again.
No fantasy football, no college football. You nothing.
Just live under a rock. I'd watch pickleball. That'd be my source of sports.
Pickleball. Okay, I can respect that. You know, we had one new team coming in earlier here with New Mexico State. I say we just bring in another team. In 2022, let's show the Sam Houston Bearcats. And yes, that's not a typo. It's Bearcats with a K. Didn't know that until today, believe that or not. The Sam Houston Bearcats went 5-4, 0-0, obviously in the conference, and were in FCS play last season. Sam Houston, rare struggle here, going 5-4. Pretty unknown here. Last time they made a bowl game, 1964. It was the Championship Bowl. It was called the Championship Bowl. It was played against Concordia College. The score of that game in the Championship Bowl, they tied 7-7.
Nice.
What is this?
Love a good tie.
No, we don't. Sam Houston Bearcats play in Elliott T. Bowers Stadium, which is home to approximately 12,593 fans there in Huntsville, Texas. You might most notably know Sam Houston as the 2020 FCS national champions, is what they're most known for, especially behind head coach going into his 8th season, Casey Keeler, 80-23 in his tenure there with the Bearcats. Now they were 2020 national champions FCS, but we're talking 2022. In 2022, they lost 4 games. Here were the 4 teams they lost to. They lost week 1 to the less superior Aggies in Texas A&M, 31-0. They then lost later on in the year to Northern Arizona, ACU, and Southern Utah. And now they're coming to play with the big dogs. And I can't believe I just called the CUSA big dogs, but you guys know what I mean. They're coming behind a second-year starter here. He actually might be in his third year, but he is a senior starting. Keegan Shoemaker. He went 95 and 204 last season for 1,122 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 5 picks. Coming back again is their senior wide receiver, Alvante Woodard. He had 16 receptions, 215 yards, and 2 tutties. And then again here, returning junior linebacker, Kavian Gaither, who had 79 tackles that led the team, 12 tackles for loss, which is really big in the NCAA, 3 sacks, and a pick. Now, when I think about Sam Houston's season coming up, I like to think their most important game could be any of these. It could be any of these in the CUSA. But they lost last year 31-0 to Texas A&M in week 1. They decided that they were going to go and play a Big 12 opponent in week 1 this year and go play BYU. They decided they were going to go play BYU. I don't know how to say this. I'll read word for word. This game will be a slap in the face to Sam Houston as an entry point to the FBS. They lose this game by 30 plus.
Very nice.
I think they will too.
I think it's going to be a rough year. Insider information, FCS legend Christian Naylor says that there's a lot of players for Sam Houston that's going around that they're not bowl eligible, so I'll just let the facts speak for themselves there. But other than that, and you got to trust Chris with the calls, baby. Finally, I know, we miss him. Finally, my final prediction for Sam Houston, I was feeling generous. I was feeling pretty generous here, guys. 3-9, and I got a feeling we ain't in the FCS anymore, or better well known as Toto, I got a feeling we ain't in Kansas anymore. This is going to be a rough year for Sam Houston. Pick it up and start over. That's all I got to say. Sorry to my coworker that graduated from Sam Houston. I'm just going to. Anyways, Brent, let's hit us with your last team here, baby.
Oh my gosh. UTEP Miners. My favorite team. There's something. Last year's record, 5-7. Their conference record was 3-5. They did not make a bowl game. The last time they won the division, they have not won the CUSA or been in the title game since they joined in 2005. So maybe strive for that someday. Probably not this year. Their head coach, Dana Dimel. He's 17-40 with the team, and it's his 6th season. Maybe change your head coach. Quarterback, we got Gavin Hardison. He's a senior. He had 2,044 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. This will be his 4th season as the starter. Player to watch.
Maybe change your quarterback.
Maybe. I mean, that's nothing impressive for your 4th season with the team. Player to watch on offense, Deion Hankins. He's a junior running back. He had 701 yards and 3 touchdowns last year. The player to watch on defense is Tyrese Knight. He's a senior linebacker. He had 1 sack, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 interception last year. Their most important game, week 0. Again, I love that week 0 love. It's that same game, Jacksonville State. JSU is going to be jacked up for this one with it being their first CUSA game. Both of their rosters stack up pretty similarly. UTEP does not have the best roster. Jacksonville State was an FCS school going into this year, so I think it's going to be a pretty even matchup. UTEP just can't blow it, or it's going to be pretty embarrassing. Record prediction, 5-7. And a little trivia, guys.
Yes.
UTEP, They're ranked 875th in best global universities.
How many global universities are there?
I don't know. I was trying to look up something fun for UTEP since I didn't have a lot of good information on them. That's the best I could find.
There are 23,615 schools and universities that offer programs in the world.
Okay, so 875, that's not too bad.
It's not
The overall best global universities ranking encompasses 2,000 top institutions.
Oh. They're middle of the pack.
They're 5 and 7.
Dana Dimel, though, I see your little tag there. He probably should be done. His record speaks for itself.
Absolutely brutal.
All I'm gonna say is this. UTEP's gonna go 10-2 this year now.
They might. All the power to them. They haven't won since they joined in 2005. So
let's speak about a team that actually has all the power to them, and no better way to wrap up the conference than with the powerhouse themselves. Braden, take us home.
Yeah, Western Kentucky, those Hilltoppers.
Still my favorite mascot name.
Big Red's a beauty. They went 9-5 last year, 6-2 in the conference. They won 44-23 in their bowl game versus South Alabama in the New Orleans Bowl. They lost one to CUSA East in 2021, and they lost to UTSA in the conference championship. UTSA, you got a new powerhouse in here, and his name is Western Kentucky. Their head coach, Tyson Helton, has gone 32-21 in 4 seasons as a head coach. Actually, this is his 4th season coming up. It's in 3 seasons. Their quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks not in the Power 5, Austin Reed. He's a senior. Last year, he threw for 4,046 yards, 40 touchdowns to only 11 picks. He also added 224 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. They brought in Willie Taggart Jr. from FIU as a backup option, but he is probably not going to be a threat at all as long as Austin Reed's healthy. My player to watch on offense is wide receiver Malachi Corley. He's a junior. Last year, he caught 101 passes, almost 1,300 yards, 1,295 to be exact, and 11 touchdowns. He topped 100 yards 6 times, including the bowl game in which he had 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. My player to watch on defense is Jaquez Evans. He's a junior linebacker. He had 106 tackles, 63 solo tackles, 13.5 tackles for loss, and 8.5 sacks. He led the team in each one of those categories. He also had 5 passes deflected, 2 fumble recoveries, and a recovery touchdown. So those 3 players to watch are absolute monsters, and they had incredible seasons last year. My game to watch is Week 9 versus Liberty. They do play Ohio State. So other than that, Western Kentucky has a cakewalk of a schedule. The Hilltoppers would love to take care of the new guys at home in a game between what could be the 2 best teams in this conference, them and Liberty. I have this team. This team has a ceiling at 11-1, only losing to Ohio State, but my prediction is going to be 10-2.
Any of those 3 players you just mentioned would be the best player on any of the other teams.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous how much better Western Kentucky is than every single other team in this conference.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had Western Kentucky last year and had them winning the conference. And I remember talking about as a junior as Austin Reed. I remember talking about this kid and knew he was going to be incredible. There's something about this kid. I don't know what it is, but I absolutely love it. And I'll speak about why I love it here because, Braden, I have a trivia question for you before trivia was even invented. It's a little biased. Guys. All right, here it is.
Bailey Zappi.
Yes.
that tandem of Bailey Zappi and Austin Reed, I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. But you look at Zappi's junior year and senior year, he went from like, I think it was like 42 touchdowns to like 60. Yeah. And here right now we have 40 from Austin Reed. And there's nobody in this division that can beat this team. Like, I understand Liberty has a possibility. Middle Tennessee State won't even give them a run for their money. No offense. Jacksonville State would get smacked around. Hold on. I'm looking up this whole schedule. I know you said that Ohio State was on here. Honestly, I'm circling that game on my calendar.
That'll be a good game to watch. I could see it happening. I'm not by any means am I predicting a win, but I think it would be a fun game to watch for sure.
Okay, South Florida dub, HBU. Who was that? Houston Baptist. Okay. Ohio State at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Troy dub, Middle Tennessee dub, Louisiana Tech win, Jacksonville State dub, Liberty most likely dub, UTEP killing. Their last 4 games are awful.
Mm-hmm.
It's UTEP, New Mexico State, Sam Houston, and FIU.
Put him in the SEC.
Okay. Well, let us get there first. Let's calm down here, okay? But by no means will Western Kentucky beat Ohio State. By no means. But that will be a shootout fun game to watch.
I think so too.
That's why their ceiling's at 11-1 for me. But yeah,
I absolutely
throw one loss in there for the turmoil. They're gonna have a bad day somewhere. But 10-2 is like realistic. Like, it's almost their floor, almost.
Yeah. If I had to guess my final prediction for the CUSA championship here, and we'll do this at the end of every single one of these podcasts, it's going to be Western Kentucky. It's going to be Liberty, and Western Kentucky is going to win by 20.
I agree. I'm with you there.
If they beat Ohio State, do they make it to the college football playoffs? Because that's an easy 12-0.
There's something you got to have a conversation. They could be this year's TCU.
I think they would be they'd be talked about in the same regards as Tulane.
Okay.
As how Tulane was ranked last season, I think they'd be in those same conversations.
We need a group of 5 in the playoffs.
Now listen. If there was like that 12, when we get to those 12 playoff teams, Western Kentucky in it every single season.
Oh, hell yeah. And they're winning that natty. I can see it.
All right. It's getting late at night. This is the CUSA. Guys, sometime next week we'll be posting that on Twitter when we're coming out with the Mountain West. Thanks for hanging out with us here tonight. CUSA, most competitive conference in the NCAA. In all seriousness, a lot of excitement coming in with the CUSA, with 4 teams coming in and 6 teams going out. I know we only have 9 teams now. We used to have more than that, but I'm excited to see what happens in the conference. Excited to shift over to the Mountain West with you guys. You boys got anything else before we log off here?
No, just that this is my favorite conference. I don't know how the rest are going to factor in here, but we're starting with the best one, so we can't really build off of it that much.
Hey, screw the conference championship between Western Kentucky and Liberty. That's the natty. That's the natty right there.
If we couldn't even get an Ohio State, Michigan natty, we're not getting that one. In all seriousness, thanks guys for tuning in tonight. Go enjoy the rest of your Friday. Appreciate these guys jumping on with me. As always, my name's Joe Wagner here alongside with Braden Wilkins and Brent, the father of sexy. We will see you sometime next week right here on YouTube Live. Special shout out, to StreamYard. And we'll see you guys next time here on the Sports Outlet Show. Peace out. Take care.